was just having a closer look at these rockers, and the only difference I can see between the exhaust and the inlet is the ball end of these doesn't appear to be pressed in as far, although I'm not sure if there's a stop there. That might be as far as that will go, because well, the reason I say that is because I had a little look on one of the forums, on the Brit Bike forum, and there was someone there with a broken push rod, not these type but a different type of rod, and they reckon what had happened is the rod was a little bit short. I know these aren't short, they're a little bit long if anything, and they reckon it went at too much of an angle, and the tip, or the end, the outer edge here of the rod hit the little ridge on there. That little ridge in there. This camera isn't the best thing for doing close-ups, but you can see there's a little ridge there, and they reckon that's what happened. That went round too far, and wouldn't have been that way, wouldn't it? And hit that ridge, which caused that to break. Although it took on their one, it took a little chunk out rather than a full split in half like mine. So that might be one thing. So once I get these back in, I'll just have a close look and see where the where that sits in relation to the angle of the push rod. Yeah, so I've got my new rods somewhere. Where did I put them? Yeah, they're around here somewhere. Got some new rods. Yeah, so we'll get this back together, and we'll have a closer look at that, I think. And if need be, I'll press those in further, if that looks like that'll help, because those ones are definitely in further. Right, let's get on. Right, I've just got this sitting on my installation spindle at the moment, so it's not the proper spindle in there, but it's a good fit. So let's just turn these over and see if these do catch at all, or knock on the end of the rocker there. So get up the top there. Nothing that side. Look at the other side. No, so it isn't that. It's not that that's hitting the edge of the ball, or the little shoulder that's on the ball end. It's not that. Yeah, does seem to be working as it should. And the other thing I've got to check is if the springs are binding. So let's just get one under tension. That one there. That should be fully compressed. And let's see if we can get in here with a bit of light. Well, looks like there are gaps between the cores of the spring, at least the outer one anyway. Hard to see the inner, but I think that is... Oh yeah, I can just see one down the bottom. There is a gap on one of the coils, so that is not causing a problem. Let's have a look at this other one. Might actually be easier to pick up on the camera, that side. side is pretty close actually. Yeah. What I'll do, I'll get a feeler gauge and just see if there is any gap there. Right. Well, I can't even get the thinnest feeler gauge I've got in there. It's just not going in. So those springs, oh no, actually, in the top, just about. That's a 0.0015. And the only space that will go in is the top coil. So all those are bound, those bottom coils, apart from that top one. Would that be enough? I suppose as it gets hotter, would they close up even more? Possibly. Let's have another look at this one, and I'll check my gap here, because I haven't actually set these. I've just guessed at the gap on the tappet, so I'll do those properly, and we'll have another measure, I think, and also have a check on this one again. There were new springs. They're supposed to be the right ones, so they might have to come out. And I'll also have to check the exhaust. I'll have to get the other rocker in. Right, so look at that. Right, well, this side, yeah, there's loads of space between all those coils. That's a bit odd. That side is okay, that side isn't. I will just slip the proper shaft in there and check that again, but this tool I made here for assembly is the same diameter as the shaft anyway, so it shouldn't really make any difference. So looks like I'm going to have to be messing around with springs as well. It's a bit of a pain. Right, let's get this tension off those. I'll get that other shaft in there and have another look at that. Yeah, so it looks like the exhaust is pretty tight as well. I can just about get, well, the coils that I can get to anyway. I can just about get this 2 thou feeler gauge into there. At least that's this one anyway. I haven't tried the other one yet. I'll check that as well. But yeah, so they're pretty tight and all. So it looks like these springs are too long, which seems a little bit odd. So I might have to be doing a little bit of readjustment to those. Yeah. Let's try this other side. That's about there. Probably can't see very much on this camera. It's not really a very good camera for close-up. Now that side is, there's a bit more gap, but fills of that there. That went in easy. So that side, springs on that side, not quite as tight as the ones on this side. Odd, very odd. Right, get that head off again then, which will mean I shall have to re-anneal the head gasket once again. I've torqued all this head down, so I'll have to yeah, take everything off again. Okay, so I've just checked the free length of all these springs. So these were new ones that fitted when I did the head. So it's only done about 250 odd miles since then, and they're all pretty much the same. The only difference is this is the spec here. So the inner should be 36.5 mil, and I'm getting 34.9, 34.5, 34.7, 35.4, so that's not that far out. And the outers should be 44.45 millimeter, and I'm getting mostly 45.9. There's one there 45.8, but that's, might as well call it 45.9. So the ones that came out, these ones, the new ones that I put in were 1.5 mil longer. Would that really make that much difference? The only thing I don't know is the original springs coil diameter. I have actually measured those. The inners are around 3.02, 3.03, and the outers are 4.06, 4.07. Yeah, so I have got the original ones that came out, so I think I'm just gonna, I think I've still got them anyway. If I have, I'll dig them out and measure those. I know they were, I think they were short. They were shorter, so obviously worn, the old ones. So yeah, that's why I replaced them with the new ones. So what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yes, the only other difference between this A50 engine and the standard A50 engine is that it has got a 650 cam in. I don't know if there's any difference in the lift on that. I know there is in duration because they open earlier, close later. But the A50 Wasp engine did have that cam in it, so that shouldn't cause an issue. Unless that had different valve springs. I'll have to have a look and look through the parts list and see if I can find if there is any other differences with that. The only other difference I really know of is that it has a twin carb, so it's got a different head. That's a twin, as far as I'm aware. It's just a you know, the fact that it's a twin carb, not a single carb, as this is. Yeah, so there's a couple of things there to check. Yeah, so I will dig out those old springs now, I think. Right, well, I've just done a little sort of average measurement, really. So the inners are 34.5, which isn't too far out from the new ones. This is the old ones I'm talking about here. But the outers are all around 44 or less, whereas the new ones are 44.9, nearly 46. And more importantly, the coil diameter is much less, well, much less, a fraction less. 2.98 on the old ones, 3.03, that's for the inners on the new ones, and 3.93 on the outers, 4.06, 4.07 on the outers on the new ones. So not only are the old ones slightly shorter, plus the coil diameter of the wire is slightly smaller, and more interestingly, not so much on these, that's the old one, that's the new one, coils are approximately the same. This is the old one, that's the new one, and you can see these new ones are wound tighter, so it's going to give you less compressed length. In fact, I might even put them in the voice and just to see what the difference is. Yeah, so that could be where my problem is. So I might have to put the old springs back in, which seems a little bit crazy, but they're not too far off spec. Yeah, just seems a little bit nuts putting old springs back in, but there we are. If the new ones aren't going to work, I suppose the only other thing is would be to grind them down a little bit further, but you've still got the number of winds on the coil. Could make a little bit of a difference. So yeah, job to know what to do really. I've just reassembled the top end. I've used the new inners because they were pretty much like the fairly to spec, and pretty much like the old ones that came out, except they're all the same length, whereas the old ones were a little bit different lengths. And I've used the old outers in these, and I have now got a gap between at least the top two coils anyway. Plenty of gap. I mean, that's a 30 thou. That's really loose in there. So they are no longer bound like they were with the new springs. So the new springs are obviously not made correctly. Yeah, they were too many coils. Well, probably half a coil too much, I should think, and the coil, actual wire diameter was greater, so they were actually binding up. But that seems to have sorted it out now. Exhaust, I think, get one under compression. Exhaust, although these are hard to measure. Yeah, there's plenty of room there. Yeah, so that is looking much better.